Hi, I'm Lisa Dubois, and I'm the Membership Director of the Thompson Valley Art League at Lincoln Gallery in Loveland, Colorado. And today I want to talk to you about the art of taking and submitting images with your phone. For when you want to enter shows and have the right image at the right size and the JPEG file with the right name on it for everything that you need. So let's get started. First off, if you have a smartphone that you bought at least a few years ago, probably even within the last 5 years, your phone is a great camera for taking all the photos that you need for submitting your artwork to show online, to submit into a show, for Facebook and for your website. So that's what this is about today. It's not about taking photos with your phone for making prints, although that can be done depending on the quality of your image and the size of the print you want to do. But today we're talking about submitting your photos. So we're also going to talk about editing your image so that you are presenting the best image that you can, and it's cropped in the right way, the JPEG file has the right name, and always to remember that whatever show that you're entering, whether it's a show at the Lincoln Gallery, like for the members show or a national or regional show, or any other show, always read the prospectus, read the instructions, because the instructions can change. And you want to make sure that you're submitting everything correctly. So, and at the very end, we'll talk about a few tips of how to prepare for your artwork and prepare your portfolio for entering shows through the website called callforentry.org. We call it CAFE for short. All right, so best practices for taking your image with your phone. First, think about your phone. You slug it around, you drop it on the table, it gets dirty, right? Just in the everyday use. You throw it in your pocket, you throw it in your purse, whatever. When you start to get ready to take your pictures of your images, wipe off the lens. Wipe off the lens of your phone so that you can get the clearest image that you can from that camera on your phone. Second is educate yourself. There's no way on this video that I can cover every different edition of every different smartphone, even if I was, and I'm just going to kind of cover iPhones and Androids, but an iPhone 11 is different than an iPhone 14. So educate yourself about your phone, about your operating system and the features, the camera features that are on your phone. So the best way that I do it is YouTube. Just go on YouTube, do a search of photography with your phone or camera settings with your phone, and put in, like, for instance, my phone is an iPhone 13 Pro. So I do that, and I find a quick 10-minute tutorial and find some tips and tricks on what works best on my phone. Now, I'm going to share with you my own personal practice for what I have found that works best in taking images of my artwork. I do that in my own home. I know some people like to go outside in indirect light, on the north side of the house, that kind of thing. But I'm just going to talk about what works for me. And you probably have some tips that work for you. First off, I indirect indirect natural lighting for photographing my images. I also have some pretty good lights right here in my studio that I use to create my art. And and I have used those also to take photos of my artwork. But I do prefer just natural indirect lighting, like a day like today, where you can see it's overcast. In fact, I think it's snowing outside. And I don't have any direct light streaming through my window. You don't want direct sunshine on your artwork, just because it's going to create some glare, especially if you have some kind of varnish on your painting. You can get some glare spots. So that's my preference. I have also found the best locations and the best times of day in my house. How did I do that? I took lots of pictures in various places in my house. So take a little bit of time and go through your house and find that sweet spot area to take that picture and to capture it. So first I want to talk about some tips that I know on the iPhone. And I think a lot of these, I talked to a friend with Android, and a lot of these settings can also be found on your Android phone. So you just have to find them. Again, do a Google search, do a YouTube search, find those things. But first of all, you want to take the photo that's the most robust, the highest resolution, the most megabyte photo that you can take, because it's always best to take a high resolution photo, and then if that file is too big, to shrink it down to the right size to submit or to put on your website, then to try to go the other way. If you take a photo and don't have your settings on your camera as best they can be, you might only be taking a 300 kilobyte photo, and then you go to enlarge it and it's not going to be a great quality. So it's always best to take the best quality you can and then reduce it for the best image that you can get. What I do on my phone, and this works for iPhone as well as Android, there is a RAW setting. So a RAW setting will give you a huge file. Now you don't want to have your phone set on that all the time, because it does take up a lot of space on your phone or in your cloud, that kind of thing. My phone actually is set up so that when I open my camera, it is not set to RAW, but there's a little button there that I put on there through my settings that I can select RAW whenever I want to. I also have a setting, and this is also available on your Android, where you can set up grid lines for when you hold your camera. And then there's also crosshairs. Now, those crosshairs, at least on my iPhone, not sure if this is true with Android, but on the iPhone, those crosshairs only show up when I hold my phone facing the floor, basically. And when I do that, those crosshairs appear, and there's crosshairs, a yellow one and a white one. And when I just set my artwork on the floor or on a table, if I'm tall enough to be up above it. Sometimes I get a ladder. And I use that phone, and once those crosshairs are aligned, I know that I am square on my image, so that I'm capturing all the way to the edges of my artwork. And then when I go to crop it, I'm not losing a lot, because a lot of times when we try to take a photo of our artwork, I'm talking about two-dimensional artwork, it can be skewed in any way. And once it's skewed, if you're just going to do some regular flat cropping on your phone, you're going to lose part of your artwork image. The other option is you're going to have to take it into Photoshop, where Photoshop can actually straighten some of that skew a little bit, but that's a step that you don't need to take if you can take a good square capture to begin with. So, and then cropping and editing. I do very little editing for my image, because if I've taken it in the best light and I compare it to, once I take it, I compare my image to the artwork and see that my colors are good. When I capture that image, I take the image that goes beyond, my photo goes beyond the edges of my artwork. So that way I can crop it in, and there's a super easy crop function while you're in your photos on your phone. Also, if you are an artist that varnishes your paintings, like as in acrylic or oils, or if you work in pastels or watercolor and you frame yours behind glass, take your photo before any of those steps, because the varnish, especially if you're using a satin or a gloss varnish, it will cause some shine that's just really hard to deal with in trying to get the best photo. So just take your photos before you varnish. Definitely take your photos before you put your artwork behind glass. Now, let's talk about preparing your file of your artwork. Now, there are some apps on phones that can resize your JPEG files and rename your JPEG files. And maybe you have one that you really like. I did a search for iPhone and could not find an app that does everything I need. So what I suggest you do is to get your image onto your computer, onto your laptop or onto your desktop computer. Now I have a Mac for my laptop, so very easy. As soon as I take photos, they go into my iCloud, and then lo and behold, they show up on my Mac in my photos. Super easy. If you don't have that, or if you're going from Mac to PC, or you don't use the cloud, you can email yourself your photo, and then you can open it up on your computer. Once you open that up, and then you can drag that onto your desktop. So what I do, and I'll show you here, is that I open up my photos. There's my photos. I select the one that I want, and I drag it to my desktop of my computer. Now, when you do this, and this is going to be only an iPhone thing, if you have taken your image and it is in HEIC, which is an iPhone thing, once you drag it from your photos onto your desktop, it will automatically become JPEG, and it must be JPEG. You cannot submit an image that is HEIC, because that is not compatible once it goes into a system, in a Windows system or a PC system. I'll back up a little bit. The other way to get around that is in your iPhone settings. You can go to your camera settings and set it on most compatible, and then it won't even take an HEIC image, and that's all done. But you want to make sure you have a JPEG file and not HEIC. Also, so then at this point, now your photo is on your desktop and you've opened it up, and now you have a menu at the top. It opens up in preview. So on a Mac, it opens up in preview. You open up tools. Once you open up tools, you'll see a drop-down menu that says adjust size, and you want to click on that. It opens up this pop-up menu. Now this pop-up menu, it will automatically be highlighted where you can see there the width. Now the width on my photo I have here is 2,809 pixels. So that is a pretty good file. You can see the red circle there that my image is 4.8 megabytes. Now I need to shrink that down according to what I need for the Thompson Valley Art League and Lincoln Gallery. We want our files to be between 1 and 1.5 megabytes. So I need to shrink it. All I need to do is change that one number that's on width, and it will automatically change everything else without me doing a thing. And you know what? I don't have to do math. I don't like doing math. And so I don't figure out the math of how I need to go from 2,809 width on pixels to get me down to 1 to 1.5 megabytes. I just kind of wing it. And so I look at this and go, you know what? I'm going to try 1,200. What happens there? Well, lo and behold, when I try 1,200, I get down to 1.1 megabytes, and it does that all automatically. You can see that it was calculating and it went down to 1.1 megabytes. If I'm happy with that size, which that's in between the 1 and the 1.5, then I click OK. Now is the time where also, while I'm open in preview, I can change the name of my file. You can see up here, and this is, I'm not sure if PC kind of names them something similar to this. They probably do. Gives it just this IMG with some numbers. And I need to name it according to the naming conventions for Thompson Valley Art League at Lincoln Gallery. Why do I need to do that? Why is this important? Well, it's important because When we are having a show, for example, our member show, we can have 75 to 95 different members sending in their images. We need as much information on that JPEG file so that we know what image belongs to what person, what the title of it is, what the medium of it is, and what the price of it is. So I need to change that file name to include all of that information. So, because we have also a lot of wonderful volunteers. Once we receive your file, it goes into our Google Drive that we share. And from that Google Drive, our webmaster pulls information. She pulls that image out so she can put it on the website. Our marketing team is pulling that out so they can put it on social media. Everyone is pulling that, and so they need to know whose that is. So when they post it, they can be giving you all the fame and glory, right, of your beautiful artwork. So that's why we need to name it correctly, because that way we help our wonderful volunteers do the best job that they can do in promoting you and your artwork. So our naming convention at the Thompson Valley Art League is this: first name, last name, underscore, title, underscore, medium, underscore, size, underscore, price, dot, JPEG. Now, sometimes when you're moving files around, you might accidentally get an extra JPEG on there. Sometimes we've received a .jpeg. Those don't work. Take off all the extra JPEGs. We just want one .jpeg file. Another thing that you must remember, we use the underscores because that translates into everything that we need so that we just get that information. Don't use a period. Don't use a comma, because those actually give the computer a different instruction and it messes up the name of your file. All right, so here I am. I have renamed my file and it is ready to send in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the form, the online form, and I'm going to fill out all the information. I'm going to read those instructions again. Even though I've read them, I'm going to read them again, make sure I understand them, and submit my artwork for the show. Okay. Now let's talk about what if you're using a Windows or PC. Not a whole lot different, but a little bit different. All right, so you open up your photo. You double click to open it up. I think we all know that, right? Once you're in there, you click on the three dots up on the right, and that opens a menu. Under that drop-down menu, you want to select Resize Image. Now this opens up a pop-up menu, and you've got a lot of options in here of what you can do. Again, with the width, you can change your width. On quality, you can adjust your quality. Know that if you are going to increase your quality, because we do want the best quality that we can get, you are increasing your file size. And you can see there on the circle on the right, you can select your file type, and that's where you can select JPEG file if it's not already there. Once you do that and you click OK, now you can rename your file. Just like we did on a Mac, you do it on your PC and you name it according to the naming convention. What is it? First name, last name, underscore, title, underscore, medium, underscore, size. Let me stop there on size. On the size, we want the size of the artwork, not the frame. We want the size of the artwork because that is what that's what people want. They might reframe your artwork, or they, or if your artwork's not framed or whatever, but we want to know what size your artwork is. And then your price. Don't put a $sign, just put a number. I think that is about it. That is a lot of information, and it's really, once you start doing it, you'll get the swing of it. You'll get the hang of where's the best place in your house to take photos? How do you set your camera? How do you crop it? How do you get it into a JPEG file and change the size and then change the name and to send it in? All right, let's now talk about Cafe. Because not only you want to enter your images for, if you're an exhibiting member at the Lincoln Gallery, to upload just like we just talked about, or if you're entering the member show, or any of our outdoor shows that we do right next to the gallery that our basic members can do as well. But you might want to enter one of our national or regional shows, or you might want to enter another show through a website that's called callforentry.org. We call it Cafe. And it's never too early to start. In Call for Entry, that is a robust website where you can build your portfolio. It's totally free. You sign up, you make your profile, you can make your artist statement and build your portfolio. And that way, when a show is open, you can enter your artwork. And then it's all ready to go. You don't want to wait. Don't wait until the last evening of the last night when the opening closes to enter the show, when the entry time closes, to start figuring out how to photograph your artwork or even how to get yourself onto Cafe, because that's just going to cause stress that you don't need. So you can do all of this stuff ahead of time. You can photograph your work and then you can set yourself up on Cafe so that when that call comes out, you're ready to enter that show. You go to Login Cafe at callforentry.org and you can click on the artist sign up to register, or you can go directly to the help button on the blue bar at the top of the screen. Now the help panel opens a panel which will explain everything you need to know. You'll have the option of reading and printing instructions. You can watch videos on how you build your portfolio in Cafe and what to do. And some of the topics have a speaker so that you can have the instructions read to you. I suggest watching the video first so that you get an idea of what is happening, then use the written instructions. And here's some tips. Have your artist statement or your CV, all of that ready in a document so that you can cut and paste it right in there and use it as a reference. Cafe account setting up is where you pick up types of calls you want to be notified of. If you're a photographer or you just want to look at the calls that are just regional. Otherwise, you get emails from cafes with tons of types of calls that you just aren't interested in. So you can curate your calls, the info that you get, for what you want to see. Digital resources will show how to resize your images for Mac and PC and what size JPEGs Cafe accepts. They might be different than the size JPEGs that the Thompson Valley Art League at Lincoln Gallery accepts. And when you're ready to upload your images to your portfolio, remember, Cafe will time out. And I don't always notice the timeout warning. So I found it best to grab a piece of paper and measure all the pieces of artwork without frame or 3D stand, height, width, depth. Then write down the title, price, year completed, and medium before starting your upload so that you have everything ready to go and you don't get timed out. You can save your images in a folder on your desktop so that you're not searching your files and trying to find where everything is. Get yourself organized before you start uploading on Cafe. And that way you can upload an image and type in all the details super quick, very efficient. When applying to your call, it's easy to just click on the images in your portfolio and text description if you want to. You can start an application and save it to finish later. It is not submitted until you review your application and pay for your entry. Now remember, as a Thompson Valley Art League member, you get a discount on entering any of our shows. And so you can find our discount code in your newsletter. And you can enter that and get your discount because those call entries do add up, right? And so we can save you a bit of money on that when you're entering shows that are right here at Lincoln Gallery. And you can submit different viewpoints. If you're a 3D artist, you can submit different viewpoints of your art to give the judge a full idea of your piece if you wish to, but any images beyond the minimum will cost $10, even if it's the same piece of art. And just so you know, Cafe is located right here in Denver, not far from us, Monday through Friday, and they're very helpful if you just ask. We also have one of our members is a cafe administrator, and also our gallery director is very knowledgeable on it. And you can call the gallery and ask for help. But get the help ahead of time, because the last thing you don't want to submit into an entry and maybe you got some things wrong, or maybe you didn't get a good image and get disqualified because something's not quite right, and that can happen. We don't want that to happen to you. We want you to enter, we want you to be juried well, and we want the best of luck to you on entering your shows. So I thank you so much for listening and taking this training, and we will see you at the next show at Lincoln Gallery.